Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered to the four corners of the earth. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem HaMashiach, Yahweh Shai. It's your brother Kana. So Salakia for interrupting some of y'all's vain talks about the whole Mason distraction with Will Smith and Chris Rock. But I gotta let y'all know that the snowball is coming downhill faster and faster and faster. And some of y'all are just content with passing on and being punished if you continue to do so, right? The dollar is crashing. Not just here, but all across the earth. And so is the housing market. For those of y'all who are into different real estate things, right? Business opportunities and ventures, etc. Right? It's beautiful times for those who are faithful and are prudent, but it's troubling times for the majority of people in the world, right? So Sirach 29 and 21 says, the chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and a house to cover shame. These four things: water, bread, clothes, and a house. Okay, a home. These are the chief or main things you need for life. So to you brothers specifically, right, that have wives and or have children, you especially have to be prudent in seeing the things that are coming to pass and getting ready for them, okay? Because you are the leader of the household. Because many have said that being prudent is a lack of faith, right? You especially have to be prudent in seeing these things and getting ready for them, all right? Many have said to me and to other brothers that preparing for the famine, whether it be growing food or storing up a certain amount of food, shows a lack of faith, right? But when you're seeing the things that are prophesied to happen and you believe that these things are going to happen, right? And we're starting to see the beginning of it, all right? Faith is following the word, correct? Faith without works is dead, correct? So when the word says that a man that doesn't provide for his own is worse than an infidel, worse than a non-believer, 1 Timothy 5 and 8, or when the law states in Exodus 21 and 10 that you have to provide your wives food, okay, that doesn't mean that you don't have to keep these commandments once Jacob trouble hits, okay? We still have to make sure they're fed, right? Now, am I saying the Most High won't perform miracles in that time for his chosen? La'ah, that's not what I'm saying, right? But what I am saying is that a prudent man foresees the evil, but the simple pass on and are punished, right? So the question is, are you brothers being prudent? Prudent being, are you using wisdom to make plans towards the future, towards seeing what you're seeing come to pass, right? Or are you part of the simple ones that is going about his business as if everything is normal and the famine is not coming? Especially to some of you brothers who aren't providing right now or struggling to provide right now for your households. It's not going to get any easier in Jacob's trouble, which is why it's a wise thing to be prudent, foresee the evil, and get ready and prepare for these things, right? Because I see many brothers and sisters with new clothes all the time, with jewelry, with new cars, with going on vacation all the time, right? Or even worse, I see a lot of brothers in the club, right? Even a lot of the so-called leaders amongst Israel. All of this money and all of this time that you're putting towards these vain things could be much more well spent going into preparing for what it is to come and for the things you see are coming and for it is towards the things that you are prophesying to come to pass, right? See, if y'all been following me for any amount of time, either on Instagram or on YouTube, then you know I've been saying to, of course, to repent first and foremost, but also to prepare, because faith without works is dead. Because famine, inflation, war, more pandemics, the financial collapse, the mark of the beast system, power outages, etc., they are all coming. They're all on the brink. They're all knocking at the door, right? And many people didn't believe it, right? Many people said, nah, that's crazy. Not in my America, right? But now you got the White House and Joe Biden saying a global famine is coming, right? Even though the globe is a whole bunch of bull. There's a famine coming across the whole earth of the word and of actual food. So you need to be getting that spiritual bread, storing up on that, and on physical as well, right? See, many of our people have been and still are under that Babylonian spell, right, of only truly believing and taking heed to something if master says it, right? And that's fine. That's fine. The spirit of Stockholm Syndrome is not something easily shaken off, right? And as watchmen that are watching these things come to pass, we know that we aren't here to convince anybody, right? A watchman isn't a convincer. A watchman isn't a salesman. We're not trying to sell anybody anything. A watchman just watches the prophecies, blows the trumpet, and warns the people. That's it, right? Those who take heed, take heed. Those who prepare, prepare. Those who don't will suffer or will perish or both. So we as watchmen know that we are not in control of other people's understanding or other people's lessons that they have to learn the hard way, right? Because we could show people all these signs, we could show them verses, we could show them history, we could show them all these things, but unless the Most High convicts them in the spirit, there's not going to be any change. And we know that the majority of people are not going to change, especially in these last days, right? You cannot teach an old dog new tricks unless the spirit convicts them. So you got all the major news outlets telling you that gas is going up, rent is going up, electricity prices are going to go up. Not to mention the fact that food and water is inflating like crazy, right? I told y'all more than a year ago it'd be a wise thing to get a lot of water and food, right? You could have paid half price back then if you would have done it, right? Now is a good time when they're saying inflation's going to go up another 50% by the end of the year, probably worse, right? So all of these things that are coming to pass, you can't just see them come to pass. You have to learn to prepare for them, right? This year's crop yield, I live around a bunch of farmers. This year's crop yield in the United States is going to be lower than it has been in decades and decades, right? Not to mention 40% of the whole earth's wheat is grown in the Ukraine and in Russia, right? And we know what's happening over there. So remember that the two of the four chief things of life is water and bread. So make sure you're either producing or storing up some amount as is possible to you, right? Every man has his own lot. But Psalm 37:16, right? It says that a little a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked. So right now is not the time to be living beyond your means, like I know a lot of brothers and sisters are doing, okay? Or to be spending all your money and time on frivolous and vain things. Clothing, you cannot eat clothing. You cannot eat Jordans. You cannot feed your children jewelry, okay? You cannot get the time back that you're wasting in the club right now, right? Some of you brothers know exactly who you are. If you see that the flood of Jacob trouble is coming, then you better be like Noah and start preparing your ark, right? And it took Noah over 100 years to build the ark, right? I've been saying build your ark for a few years now. If you ain't got time to build your ark, you build yourself any type of flotation device, right? Having any type of flotation device is going to be better than building an ark, especially if you have children or wives, right? Hebrews 11:7, which is one of my favorite verses, says, by faith, Noah, being warned of the Most High of the things not seen as yet, moved with fear and prepared an ark to the saving of his house. Okay, Noah was warned by the Most High, just like we're being warned through the Spirit by the Most High of things that were going to come to pass. But Noah couldn't see it yet, right? Just like we can't see full-blown, all hell breaking loose, Jacob's trouble going down just yet. We can't see full-blown famine just yet, but we see it coming, right? And because of the fear that Noah had towards the Most High, he didn't sit around and just pray. He didn't sit around and just have faith. He prepared an ark to the saving of his house, okay? In Genesis, the 41st chapter, during the 7 years of abundance in Egypt, right, where the land produced plentifully, Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years, and he stored it, right? And then came the 7 years of famine. So just a couple examples of how it's a wise thing to be prudent and to prepare. And as a matter of fact, you know, I do a lot of counseling with brothers and sisters, right, on an almost daily basis. And one thing that's been coming up and coming to my attention a lot lately when it comes to counseling brothers and sisters is how much have you been studying? I'll ask them, and they say, okay, I've read this many chapters, this many hours a day, etc., which is good, right? Don't get me wrong. But you have to understand that the most important growth in this truth doesn't come when you're reading or meditating or even praying. Okay? These are things that you can grow through the Spirit. These are all important things we must do. But the growth comes when you put into action what you read. When you start working for what you prayed for. When you start living out what you meditated on and what was revealed to you, right? Like let's say you read and you learned that you have to rule your spirit, right? Proverbs 25 and 28. That's good. But until you're in the midst of anger or conflict, now that's where the growth comes, right? When you control yourself, when you pull back on your reins and when someone's yelling at you, right? When you finally, you're about to sin, you're about to give in, you're about to be pulled out of the spirit, and you finally are able to stop. Take a deep breath. Salah, you pause, you reflect, and you realize and choose to do things differently, okay? In these end times right now, okay, right now is the time where your actions or lack of actions are going to determine your future. Your actions right now are going to determine if you will be in the cursed house of the wicked when all hell breaks loose. Your actions right now will determine whether you eat in the famines or starve. Your actions right now determine whether you prepare for the plagues or whether you repent or whether you perish, right? Every day you should be praying and studying, and with that is going to come trials to see if you're truly about what you say and portray yourself to be about. But just like there's no muscle growth reading about working out, or there's no growth reading about growing food, there's no growth in just reading the scriptures either and not applying. The growth comes when you're testing yourself and when you're applying what you read, whether it be in the gym, whether it be in the garden, or whether it be most importantly spiritually in life, right? Blessed is he that readeth and hear the words of the prophecy and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. And the time is at hand, brothers and sisters. So for those with eyes to hear, ears to see, read, apply, pray, fast, seek what you need, seek it. Because just like the Most High isn't going to just drop a job in your lap when you're just sitting in your house, not applying for no jobs, you have to seek. And when you seek, the Most High is going to help those who help themselves. Prepare. Most High willing, this touches at least one or two brothers, sisters' hearts. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.